I found this really intriguing, folks. More perfect union put this little thing together. So, a former Palantir employee is sounding the alarm. Peter Thiel's company rose to prominence working with military law enforcement and ICE. They capitalize on fear and unrest to make money. Now they want you to pay them to build the government's central operating system. So, if you ever wonder why government bodies and agencies are so set for AI. They're putting all their money towards AI. Trump announced it. Actually, we got here from Reuters. Remember this? They announced back in January $500 billion investment towards AI infrastructure. If you thought for a second that this is going to benefit you or somehow make your life easier as they're trying to sell you that idea that, oh, AI is going to be beneficial to you. Hey, digital IDs, you don't have to carry wallets anymore because everything's going to go to the cloud and a government agency is going to collect all this information on your behalf. It's going to be great. Note what's actually coming to you, because what's actually coming to you is authoritarian rule. And this has been going on for many years. This kind of highlighted during COVID itself when they were introducing vaccine passports. We saw this a lot in Canada with the ArriveCam app scandal that they were trying to improvise. But now it's even more so because of the advancement of technology. And now these private companies align themselves with the government to enforce this, which is a form of fascism. It is a direct form of fascism when government entities align themselves with private sector to enforce restrictions and laws against the needs of the people. And we're seeing this right in the open. And here is just a bit of it. It's a 16-minute long piece here, but we're just going to show a bit of it here. Take a look.
It's one thing to criticize your former employer. It's taboo to do that. But to criticize an employer that also owns extremely lethal technologies and surveillance technologies that are highly invasive and used in war zones is something else entirely.
It's 2025. We're all kind of used to government surveillance. The idea that we're all being watched all the time and don't own our own personal data has become normalized. We're also used to the military spending vast amounts of our money on just a few giant defense contractors. But one tech company wants to change both of those things
and become the ultimate military contractor and the ultimate arbiter of all of our data.
Palantir is here to disrupt and make the institutions we partner with the very best in the world, and when it's necessary, to scare enemies and on occasion kill them.
Check out Palantir shares surging.
I'm sorry. I got to stop it there. This guy, Alex Karp, was a nefarious ghoul. He's part of the Palantir. He's part of the surveillance state. He is notorious for advancing this. And I can tell you how notorious it is when you have that style of hair. I'm sorry, but that looks like a cartoon supervillain. That's the kind of face, that kind of look is what you see in a Looney Tunes cartoon when they're the Mad Doctor. I will build my monster to go after the villagers. Maybe that's why he wants to do mass surveillance, because Frankenstein didn't work out. So, I'm going to go after everybody who didn't believe in me. That's crazy. But of course, he's wearing a t-shirt to make himself look more appealing because, you know, he looks like an average Joe now. I have the messy bedhead hair. I got the glasses. I got the t-shirt on. I'm not some nefarious deep state insider. I'm just one of you guys. It's like when Mark Zuckerberg, the head of Facebook, wears blue jeans. You know, I'm not, an average billionaire. I'm not against you guys. Look, I'm wearing blue jeans. I'm casual. I'm cool.
To disrupt and make the institutions we partner with the very best in the world, and when it's necessary, to scare enemies and on occasion kill them.
Check out Palantir shares surging 22% after the company cited a boom in demand for its AI software from the U.S. government.
We're doing it. We're doing it. And I'm sure you're enjoying this as much as I am.
Palantir, a tech company based here in Denver, claims they can revolutionize government systems with their data analysis software, newly powered by artificial intelligence.
They've been hired by the Department of Defense, the FBI, local police departments, and even the IRS, and Wendy's to take in the information those organizations collect even more information, and use that data to draw conclusions.
It can be used to completely reconfigure organizations' ontology, its reality.
I mean, the shock that they tell you the FBI, the DOD, the IRS, the CIA, all these horrible entities, and then Wendy's. Wendy's is the least worrisome about this AI. Like, out of the horrible agencies that they sell themselves out to, which should tell you a lot about this company, that this Palantir organization is not there for the benefit of people. It's not there going out to nonprofit organizations. It's there to inflict authoritarian rule against you. They're also going to sell it to Wendy's. Because, you know, AI could replace the drive-thru workers, I guess.
What systems matter, what information matters, what processes matter, how they are structured, what biases are introduced at each of those stages.
We talked to a former Palantir employee, dug into decades of research, and listened to hours of Alex Karp's own words to unwrap the layers of Palantir's carefully cultivated sales pitch, how they capitalize on fear, uncertainty, and unrest.
I don't think in win-lose. I think in domination. This is a company built for bad times. Bad times mean strong finances internally. Bad times are very good for Palantir because we build products that are robust, that are built for danger.
Let's rewind a little.
Palantir's story starts with one of the most effective things a company can have for sales: fear.
After the September 11th attacks, the United States government began expanding surveillance both at home and abroad. This was, of course, a boon for the defense industry at large. Simultaneously, the Silicon Valley tech industry was growing fast and making people in a once obscure industry very, very rich, very, very quickly. Like the founders and executives at PayPal, known as the PayPal Mafia. Elon Musk, Reid Hoffman, the LinkedIn guy, and Peter Thiel. When PayPal was sold, Thiel had millions of dollars burning a hole in his pocket, and an idea. PayPal had developed systems for detecting fraud and crimes on the platform. What if they could use similar thinking to analyze the world at large? So Thiel pulled from his network to build out a new company. One of the first hires was Thiel's Stanford Law School roommate, Alex Karp, who'd gone on after Stanford to get a PhD in not business or computer science or engineering, but neoclassical social theory. They named the company Palantir, after the Palantiri from J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings.
In Lord of the Rings, a Palantir stone is a magical object that allows its users to predict the future or to see what's going on in a remote location.
It was originally created by the elves. It was meant to be used for good purposes. It is potentially a very dangerous technology. It's very powerful.
Long have you hunted me?
So that's Middle-earth, but what does Palantir do in a regular Earth?
And what we do is we use what legal scholars call predicate-based research. So we would look at you, and then we would go out and say, oh, there's lots of different things in your life that may be indicative of someone involved in bad behavior.
Put simpler, they make software that makes it easier for their customers to collect and analyze data, and then act on that analysis, with and without AI. By 2013, 10 years after their founding, Palantir's client list included the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, the Marines, the Air Force, Special Operations Command, and more.
Did your company help to track and kill Osama bin Laden?
You know, we can never. I'll tell you, the closest thing to an answer is when you look at when you open the paper and look in the news about these kind of things, there's a 2/3 chance, depending on the country involved, that somehow my company was involved.
Fundamentally, the mission that is pushed to employees is that we're solving the world's hardest problems and supporting Western institutions. That is the main driver of sort of this militaristic culture that is developed inside of Palantir.
If you do not feel...
Which, by the way, they don't solve problems. They don't solve problems, because why would we solve problems when we can profit off the longevity of problems? Like endless wars. Hey, they're not there to be resolved or won or deal with conflict resolution. They're there to mass slaughter people, take their resources, give it to the private sector, they profit off the death and disparity, and then sell it to you chumps. This is a mafia. This is a mafia that is psychologically brainwashing you and manipulating you to give up your data, to give up your ability for privacy, to sell off to these companies, to sell off to federal agencies to use to manipulate and spy on you and blackmail you and deceive you. That was kind of the whole point of the Patriot Act. which was written way before 9/11. It was already done in detail way before 9/11, but that gave the opportunity to go ahead and push for it. And that's why a lot of the establishment, sadly, rely on chaos. They rely on problems. They massively invest into the breakdown of society. That is why the establishment throws out these horrible agendas, how they deal with, mass immigration. They want the chaos. They want crime on the streets. They want people on their knees begging for this authoritarian rule because they think that Palantir and the CIA and the FBI are there for surveillance and they're going to stop the crimes. They're going to do anything to protect you. They are there not to protect you whatsoever. They are there to manipulate you. You are lab rats to these people. And that's what we're seeing right here is the mass amounts of data collection. Not there for security. It's not there for the convenience of you. It's there to manipulate you. It's there to deceive you. They got all this information. And if you step out of line, guess what? They can blackmail you now because they know everything about you. Everything. And it's corporations like this, the Palantir organization, that is the top of the chain that's doing a lot of this nefarious stuff. Peter Thiel, Alex Karp, there's many others to deal with. Whitney Webb, if you go check out Whitney Webb, she does incredible work about this. It connect all this and tell you exactly how this mafia, how the increased surveillance state, how Trump announcing $500 billion in AI infrastructure, not to benefit you. It's not to benefit you whatsoever. They picked the worst of the worst to congratulate themselves. Trump is aligning himself not only with Elon Musk, but also with Jeff Bezos and also with Larry Ellison of Oracle and other huge tech billionaires that profit off of data collection, that profit off of being the eyes and ears around the world to control you, to put authoritarian rule against you. And these are supposedly people that are libertarians. Alan Karp would say he's a libertarian. Mark Zuckerberg says he's a libertarian. Elon Musk said he was a libertarian. Oh, I don't think government should be involved in controlling the means of lives. But it's okay if the private sector does, as long as we get the government to subsidize that. Which is, again, a form of fascism. So here's Whitney Webb in a tweet here. This is, when was this? This is back in January that she mentioned this. So it says, Peter Thiel's Palantir, which has deep ties to the CIA, is arguably a CIA front company, had major contracts with Operation Warp Speed. That was COVID. That's Anthony Fauci and Donald Trump pulling that out. Played an outsized role in distribution of the experimental vaccine, obtained access to the most Americans' private health data, began surveilling American sewage via other HHS contracts during COVID with the plan to predict outbreaks before anyone has symptoms, and is the main contractor of the CDC office, now using Palantir surveillance data of Americans, much of which is acquired illegally through its contracts with all 18 U.S. intelligence agencies to predict the next pandemic before it happens. Treating Thiel like a COVID critic is just too much. I know Thiel funds most of the independent media, but seriously, come on. Thiel is just as dangerous as the people he is criticizing here. So, people are falling into this trap. That's why she put independent in quotes. Places that have grown on social media, these outlets that you think is independent media because they're not signed to MSNBC or CNN or, parroting the direct lines from the White House. They're still part of that mainstream outlet. They're still parroting CIA talking points. They're still parroting a lot of these deep inside contract narratives. They want to manipulate people to think that they are independent media, but really they are just parrots. They are just pawns to the deep state. And they pose themselves as independent media, hoping that people be ushered in to fall for it. The same way that, like, Bernie Sanders, for example, is considered an outsider politician, even though he is deeply invested inside everything the Democratic Party does. Why? Because he's ushering people, thinking that he's an outsider, thinking he's going to do something for the general public and bring people into the Democratic Party that's going to deliberately destroy you. And Whitney Webb is very credible on this information. Go check out her books. Go check out her readings. She has dove down extremely on this information. And she has connected all the dots on this, has predicted this a long time ago, that these tech billionaires, the tech industry, was eventually going to be so massive, that too big to fail policy they used to address, is to become so massive, intertwined with the government using subsidies to mass surveil, to crack down, to censor, which is something we've seen already in progress, but now it's going to get worse. This is the world we're going to be living in, folks. And here's just another little factoid on Peter Thiel that someone brought up. This is from the Free Thought Project. And it says, who is Peter Thiel? And you can see he was part of the Bilderberg Committee. Right here. It says Thiel is a steering committee member of the secretive, shadowy government of business moguls, government insiders, and oligarchs. A guy who claims to be a libertarian. A guy who cares about the people. A guy who wants nothing to do with the mainstream status quo is invest himself in the Bilderberg meetings. Why? Because he's not actually a libertarian. He's an authoritarian. He is someone that actively wants to go against you. And he's aligned himself with the worst of the worst at the top of the top and getting subsidies from government agencies, paying off this organization that is used to mass surveil and manipulate people. And that is what the tech industries is sadly doing with this $500 billion investment. They're using it to destroy you. They're using it to go after you in the means of authoritarian measures. That it was already coming as is, and we saw that a lot with COVID, but now it's only going to get worse. And especially even now when they're openly stating that AI, robotics, automation is going to wipe out the working class. This idea that they were going to put tariffs on countries and hope that manufacturing was going to magically appear once again. Well, even if the manufacturing does appear and they start building factories again, are they going to hire more people? No, they're going to replace them with robots. Because they're just that much against you. They're that much against the working class. They have no responsibility. They have no initiative. They have no respect or tolerance for any one of us. We are just their lab rats, and this is the mafia that is controlling us.